I'm Martha Risser. I teach at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm in a classics department, which means we teach, and we're a small department, small school. So I teach some of everything, but my passion is art and archaeology. And I've been working here at Akko on the archaeological excavations since the very beginning of the new excavations in 2010. I'm particularly interested in ceramics. I'm one of the ceramicists along with Yolanta, and we've been working on the pottery that has been coming from the tell, and there's so much. The tell's nickname is Tell el Fujar, which means Potsherd Hill, and it's perfectly appropriate. We do get quite a lot of ceramic material, and among the ceramic materials, we get a lot of imports from Greece. And coming into this dig as a classical archaeologist, coming from the classical world, it's those Greek imports that I personally get the most excited about. We have a huge array of imports from not only from mainland Greece, but also from Greek cities in South Italy and Highlands and the western coast of Turkey, which was also Greek. I've been looking at the pottery, and I've become especially interested in the wine containers. The people at Akko were getting a lot of wine from Greece, quite a lot of wine from Greece, this wine that arrived from Greece came in special shipping containers called amphoras. And the amphora type of vessel, which is it's a large vessel that's actually created for shipping, created to facilitate shipping, is a type of container that was originally invented right here in this area in the Levant 3,500 years ago in the Bronze Age. So it was the Canaanites who lived along the Levantine coast who invented this type of jar. But by 2,500, even earlier than that, but 2.5 millennia ago, these containers were being widely used in Greece as well. And the ancient Greeks, particularly in the Hellenistic period, when we get lots of these amphoras coming into Akko, the ancient Greeks who were shipping this wine were using branding and advertising for these jars. We tend to think of advertising and branding as being modern phenomena, but in fact, the ancient Greeks were doing this too. So, for example, the wine amphoras from the island of Rhodes were often stamped with these little roses. And this is a pun on the island's name. The island Rhodos has a name that also means rose. So we have these little rosebuds stamped right onto the handles so that people would know that this wine came from Rhodes. And then we also have, we're also getting stamped handles from a number of other places. And another example is Kos, the island of Kos. So whereas Rhodes had the rose stamp, the island of Kos didn't stamp this one is stamped, but they didn't stamp their handles quite as often. But the people of Kos put a white slip over the amphora. You can see the fabric is actually more of a pinky color underneath. But they put a white slip over the amphora, and then they used a double-rolled handle. And so this double-rolled handle is a sign to people that this wine is coming from the island of Kos, and the wine from Kos was prized. It was considered good wine, and so other areas soon began putting some other areas, a few other areas, started putting double-rolled handles on their amphoras too, in imitation of the type from Kos. So we get some ancient, generously we might call it mimicry, but it might also be considered a form of fraud if these containers, these pseudo Cohen containers, are being shipped to places where people are looking for the double handle but might not be as familiar with the actual container, the color, the fabric, the clay. So these are just a couple of examples of the ways in which these ancient Greek centers would brand and advertise their wine. People would look for the double handles, or they'd look for the rose stamp. And then sometimes, and this handle has such a stamp, sometimes we get even more information. So on this handle, for example, we have a stamp that has 2 lines on it. And the first line says epi eskalinos, and it tells us that this wine was made during the magistry of Eskalinos. And then underneath is the month, Thesmophorios, and that would be autumn. So we've got here, we've got a jar, or the handle of a jar that contained wine that gives us a date. It's the magistry of a particular person, and even the month in which the wine was well, if not made, then bottled, put in a container, and sent off to be shipped to far parts of the ancient Mediterranean, including Akko.